For a long time, B-26 pilots didn't think that they could fly on one engine. And then I think it was Jimmy Doolittle came down to St. Petersburg. I mean, yes, St. Petersburg, Tampa area, and he wrung one out. He feathered one in, stopped the engine, feathered it, and did rolls. I understand he was doing rolls with it. And when he came back in, the guy said, "Well, boy, you know, if he can do that, we ought to be able to at least fly it with two engines." So it wasn't too bad after that. Really, you know, the big problem with the 26 is when it was first designed, it had a beautiful design, proper wing loading, and then the government comes along and they decide there was a bunch of stuff they wanted to put in it, but it added weight. When you add weight, the wing loading goes up, okay? And when you do that, then the plane finds it harder to fly because it's got to do this lift. So then they come along and they improved it by adding, I think, 5 feet of wing length, and they increase the angle of attack by a couple of 3 degrees, and then they add some more weight, you know. So it was defeating the purpose to the adding the thing. But it was the later planes, the one we flew in combat, were not that bad. The biggest problem, if you had an engine fail on takeoff, you were gone. That was it. I mean, it's one thing to be up in the air and have the engine go out, but it's something else on takeoff. I mean, that was curtains. They had a early morning takeoff, and they down there they took off 6 abreast. We took off 3 abreast on the runway. Our runway wasn't as wide as theirs, and they were taking off. And as I understand, I've read about it. I wasn't there, but I've read about it, and I think 2 of them went down at once, and then another one followed up that and went down. I think that if I was on the group behind that, I'd have been pretty scared, pretty leery about going ahead and throwing the throttle forward. But I think there were 3. I think there were 3 of them augured in on takeoff, and and we had some in our squadron. Matter of fact, on one of them, I was assigned to go out there and pick up some of the remains and of the crew. Can't remember all the names. There was one. Well, we were in Corsica. No, it was in Sardinia. He had just come into the squadron, a guy named Ples Davis. He was making claims that he was married to a starlet out in Hollywood, big deal. So, but he was real popular with the guys. They thought he was something else because he was from Hollywood. But I think on his 3rd mission, he was shot down, and we were told that everyone was lost on that plane. And then later on, I was summer court officer for, what is that, the one for going through their property and packaging it to send home to the home? Personal effects officer, personal effects. And I did that on 2 occasions. Not that I particularly knew the people on that crew, but they were members of my squadron, and you know, I'd seen them around.